You can be anything in life, but not everything. Now, that title might sound a little bit confusing, but I'm actually speaking towards a little piece that I started writing the other day, and I'm not finished yet, but let me just jump into that and basically read it out loud for you guys because I thought it might be interesting. Had writing as a kind of some sort of a goal for this year to improve in, and hence I just picked up a little bit of time and got to it. Now it kind of starts like that. Running around these days, one cannot escape but be bombarded with new ideas, inputs, and desires. To blame social media alone is kind of lazy. There is some truth to the claim that our offline world is speeding up too. Not too long ago, your career path was relatively clear. University led to a defined set of professions, whilst an apprenticeship prepared you for a specific trade you ended up performing for decades. Today, those boundaries and limitations have disappeared largely. A doctor might suddenly become a YouTuber, a carpenter, a successful gold trader, a lawyer turns into a tech founder, or an accountant, a famous fitness influencer. It seems like choice is a double edged sword, allowing a few that decide fast to create their dream life, whilst completely overwhelming others to even make a decision. I don't know on which side you stand on, but if you have never been overwhelmed by too many options, imagine having to choose one life partner from 100 people who all seem equally attractive, intelligent, and compatible. Choosing one means giving up 99 other potential fulfilling lives. This example might not be the best, but I think it captures the cost of choosing one option while giving up many attractive alternatives pretty well. So, how can you hedge against your own imperfect judgment, minimize the costs, and make sure you can regret minimize at the same time? It starts by accepting that there is no such thing as a perfect decision, or at least you won't have the ability to assign a reliable probability to every possible outcome or opportunity. People that started posting on YouTube for fun 20 years ago could not have predicted that a creator like Mr. Beast would ever be able to turn down a $1 billion offer for his YouTube channel. Neither did Toby Lütke set out to build a $160 billion software business, namely Shopify, when he started selling snowboards online. Hindsight works wonders, and you won't be able to predict how different puzzles in life will suddenly fall into place to help you achieve greatness. Monkey see and monkey do is one of the biggest traps to avoid. The act of blindly copying someone's behavior without understanding or questioning the reasoning behind it is so common. Whilst the same mechanism helped us survive childhood, one needs to overcome it in order to build anything meaningful. Sticking to an idea, a business model, or a decision is very similar to holding onto a trade. Doing so is simple, but not easy. You don't sell your position because other people sell it, or because holding onto it feels emotionally draining. You hold onto the trade until your thesis has been validated or invalidated. The only way you display enough patience to stick to your thesis without letting it become corrupted by consensus or groupthink is by doing enough thinking to understand the trade well enough. Many trends and opportunities represent a good trade, but you will not be able to ride or hold on to the trade. Let it be building a personal brand, an AI business, or anything else that represents a good opportunity nowadays. Unless you understand it deeply and you've built your conviction by thinking and developing your own opinion around it. I mean, that's a blessing and a curse, because on one hand, you might become a victim of being distracted and spending some time in a trade you don't really understand. But on the other hand, that also means there's not as much competition as you think. There's only a few that are willing to put out 10,000 videos over the next 10 years. Only a few that record 1,000 podcasts episodes. Only a few that want to spend years speaking to customers, fixing unglamorous problems, and rebuilding a software product that still is not working. The level of interest is where most competition lives. As soon as some sort of delayed gratification or consistent required repetition gets introduced, the competition starts to shrink drastically, let alone when faced with uncertainty or when another novel thing gets introduced. The playing field suddenly looks pretty much empty. Maybe one in 1,000 stays committed long enough to actually reap the rewards of showing up over a long time. Now, I remember I ended this passage when I was just shortly showing a brief kind of ending towards that. Let me actually check what specifically I ended it with. The way I phrased it at the end is learn to say no to most things. Let the magic show up in a few things and don't be one of 999. Now, I don't really know what I'm going to be doing with some sort of this writing. However, I realized it helps me to put my thinking into kind of more actionable thoughts, or at least more concise things, because I feel like my brain every single day is moving at a very fast pace, and in a lot of ways also very confusing. And I feel like writing stuff down allows me or gives me the space to kind of slow the world down and just think through things properly. And funnily enough, I think thinking is not something that we are used to doing, at least for ourselves, right? Everyone is expected, or at least in some form or way, intellectually stimulated at work. You are obviously expected to use your brain when you need to pass exams or when presenting a client with some sort of information. But rarely nowadays have I caught myself taking the time and thinking through multiple topics, right? I kind of get trapped in hopping from one thing to the other, going from the gym, coming right back home, having to get some tasks done. But I kind of almost never take time to think through things. And that's something that I've been doing a lot more recently. Now, hence, how do I do that in a way where I actually enjoy and can kind of reflect upon my thinking even later on? It's by just writing it down. Whatever might happen with this content, if I'll ever publicize it in a written form or just through a YouTube video like that, or maybe I'll just take a couple of these passages and post them on X, for example, as tweets, or maybe also just as short form videos. I think it's useful to write stuff down, and I think it's an essential part in growing, in becoming kind of more aware of the past, or to understand the past better, to become more aware of the present, and it will also help you to think clearer about the future. So if you didn't sit down for quite some time, take this as a sign to just give yourself some space and write stuff down. See you soon, guys.